Welcome back to our series on data handling for statistics. I'm Mark Ledbetter. This is code along number 18 or lecture video number 18. We're going to start with code along file 17 from last time. We'll change this to 18 and immediately save it with a new name so we don't overwrite the existing file. Okay. So in this video, we want to beef up our setup chunk of code here. So right now we have two options set and that's it. So to make the video faster, I'm going to copy from another file where I've set up this code the way I'd like you to have it. And so you'll need to type this. So this code that we have here, the first piece of code within the chunk, allows us to have more than 1,000 lines in the console. The console down here, you may think that sounds like a lot, but I use a data set that has over 14,000 records in it to begin with, and so if I try to print out anything from that, I don't see it all. If I want to see it all, I can't, not without changing the setting. So we're going to use the library called, package, excuse me, called RStudio API. Obviously, if you don't have this installed, you'll need to install it first. And then we need to load the library. And then we're going to call a function from that library. Now, we could just get rid of this portion and call the function. Why do we not? Well, when we have multiple packages loaded, many times the packages that we load will mask a function in another package. What that means is that both functions exist. One, they have the exact same name, let's say standard deviation, so SD. There might be two standard deviation functions, one for one package, one for another. One might calculate it as a sample standard deviation, the other as a population standard deviation. So they both exist, but the last one to be installed is the one that's a default. So it masks the other one. So by using the package name, we're assuring that we get the correct function. So we can use this with any package. We can say the package name and then 2 colons and then the function. And write the function exactly the way that we would want to. And so in this one, we are saying that the console, the number of max lines within the console is this integer of, in this case, 100,000 lines. Now, be careful. You may want to change yours to, let's change this to 10,000 for this. You don't want to make it too big or it can use up too much of your memory on your computer and make things run slow. So let's just change it to 10,000. And then the next thing that's always a good idea is to remove all of the objects from our environment. And we do this by code or programmatically so that we don't accidentally start using something that's no longer available, or that we had loaded up from a previous program and that's in our memory, but we didn't write the code in this program to get that object, and so or it's a different object with different information in it but with the same name, and that would be bad. So we want to clean up our environment, start fresh, and that assures us that we don't make a careless mistake by accidentally looking at information from a previous program. Okay, so remove rm list equals ls bracket bracket. So the function ls, this with no nothing in there, just empty. Okay, so we run that. So I ran this, I need to run this, and then we'll run this code. And now we're setting our, again, we're using package knitter, and we're talking about the option chunk. So the ops chunk is the chunk options, and the setting for that, or set. And so we're saying warning is equal to false, message is equal to false, echo is equal to true, fig align is equal to center. Okay, And so echo true. I'm also going to add for you include equals true, okay, and comma there. All right, so this is what it needs to have. The fourth and last thing is we're going to turn off scientific notation. Okay, so we're calling the options function and we're setting the scientific pen, to 999. And what this does is that's the number of decimal places that would be required before we would get a scientific notation, which of course the computer doesn't go that far, so everything will be non-scientific notation by doing this. You can change this to an actual digit, so like 8, 9, 10, 5, whatever you want, but it's better to turn it off completely, I've found, because a lot of students don't know how to or don't remember, I should say, how to translate between regular digits and scientific notation. They get confused, and so I find that it's easier just to turn it off, and then if anything is less than 4 decimal places, we just say less than 0.0001, okay, in the results. Okay, we don't need the new here, so we can get rid of that. And I've put this information in here for you. We want to, well, we can leave it in there for now. And we're going to get rid of this as well. And we can get rid of the plots here that we have, the one plot and then the summary, of course. And I'm going to take this out. We don't need that. So you can embed R code into a chunk, and we'll get rid of the like this because we have an example up there. Okay. Now we can leave that in there, and we've got this. Now I want to talk about a table format code. Okay. So we have this, and now we're going to go into packages. And so this is a good list of packages to start with. Okay, Control copy, and we'll go with Control V. So I'm going to say that the list of packages below include many needed packages for basic statistical analysis. Okay. Now, I've put something in here to remind you that if you don't have a package, you need to install it. And if you wanted to do it programmatically, you could do install.packages. And remember that this requires quotations, okay, around the package name. Now, when you have this many, you may just want to come up to Tools, Install Packages, and do them this way. Or you could, you know, it's actually probably easier to Control-Shift-C. I don't know if I've talked about this, but to comment something, you can do hold down the Control key, the Shift key, and the letter C, and it will comment out. You could also do this, let's see, with code and then comment, uncomment lines, and you can see Control-Shift-C again is the way to do that. Okay, and if we want to do several of these, it's easy to copy and paste and then just change the name, you know, knitter, etc. You could do a bunch of these this way. All right. So however you want to install these packages if you don't have them installed. Okay. So we have Tibble, Knitter, dplyr, Cable Extra, Reshape 2, ggplot 2, car, Latex 2 EXP, Lattice, Nortest, Psych, Mosaic, Multcomp, LS means G models, agricole, and desk tools. Okay, so so you need to type all of these in. You might want to type in the comments here as well, because once you have it, then you don't need to type it again. Oh, please here for the comments use two pound signs, so that you don't accidentally uncomment and try to run comments. That doesn't work very well. Okay, so let's go ahead and run all of these. And I was talking earlier about masking things, okay? So we're going to see an example of that here. So now that I've run this, let's look up at all this red code, which makes you think that there's errors, but it's not, okay? It's important. It says attaching the package dplyr, and the following objects are masked from the package stats. So there are functions called filter and lag. And now if you type filter or lag, you're not going to use the function from the stats package, you're going to use it from the dplyr package. Okay, so the default filter function is now the dplyr one, and the default lag is that. And so then it says from the package base that intersect, set diff, set equal, and union, these are set functions, those are being masked. Then when we do cable extra, the following object is masked from dplyr. Okay, so group rows. So there was a function group rows that we could use in dplyr, and now if we use this function, it's going to instead use the one for cable extra package. All right, and so then we've got car data, and see now it says this is different. It says overwritten by data table. So this is calling the package data table, and method from print.data.table is being overwritten. That means that the other one does not, the ones that were there before do not exist. Only these are available now from the package data.table. Okay, so that can cause you an issue if you were going to use these functions from the base or stats or dplyr or some other package that this is overriding. And so from dplyr, recode function is being masked. So you can read through these and see. This is very important. So if you were planning to use something from one of these packages and it's telling you that it's masked or overwritten, even worse, then you've got to be very careful with how you call it. You may have to use the package name and the 2 colons to actually call it. And so we're loading a lot of packages, and there's a lot of things, a lot of functions that are being masked or overwritten. Okay? All right. Now, we're going to be using tables from a package called Kable, K-A-B-L-E. And these are by default HTML objects, but we're going to want them to print out nicely as a PDF. So we need this code here. And so I'm putting this in the package chunk because it's a good place to do it. Now, I have set this to include equals false. You could change it to include equals true. Actually, I'd like you to change this to include equals true so that when you print something out for me, I can tell if you loaded all the packages that we need or not without having to open your code. Okay, and I've given you a little hint on how to use help here, but we've gone over that before. Now, here is some code that you'll need to run. Okay, so first I need you to run this tiny text install. And so what I'm going to want you to do is right now, so what I want you to do is I want you to manually, using Control Enter, I want you to run all, or you can select all of them at once you have the packages loaded, run all of this. Okay, I don't need to see the messages from this stuff. So once you've done that, you can see that this is empty now. It wasn't empty before, but by running this, I've emptied it. So you can empty that. I want you to run this line of code. And let's see, okay, so it's not printing it out in line, it's putting it in the console. Okay? So you can see how it's downloading, it's taking some time. I'll stop the video here and then start it back up when we get finished. All right, now that we've finished with the installation of Tiny Text, this is what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to Control-Shift-C, comment out that line of text, and then what I want you to do is to knit this as a PDF. Okay, so we can just come up to knit, click on the arrow there, not the word knit or the ball of yarn with a knitting needle in it, the arrow, and then come down and select PDF. And so what this is going to do, we have message true, warning true, include true here. And what it's going to do is it's going to print out everything in the document. So let's take a look at what it will print out. You'll see a lot of stuff in here. So it goes down to here, library dplyr, and then it talks about that. And so we go all the way down, and what we want to see at the end is this statement having a true, okay? And then there's no other code after this, just the writing, okay? So that is it for this video. Please upload that PDF and the R Markdown file, both of them, to Moodle, all right? So please take care of yourself, stay safe, because we want to see you here in the next video.